So I've realized something about my own mind, and honestly, I don't think it's just me. I think all of us do it. We make up our minds surprisingly quickly and then spend the rest of the day trying to prove ourselves right. Have you ever walked away from a conversation absolutely convinced that someone was annoyed with you? Not because they said that they were, but just because you had a feeling. Then later on, they take a little bit longer to reply to your text message, which feels like proof. They seem a bit quieter the next time you see them, which feels like more proof. They don't laugh at one of your jokes when they usually find you funny, and now you're almost certain. But here's what I find really, really interesting. Imagine if you started that exact same day believing that they genuinely really liked you. Would all of those little moments mean the same thing? Well, I would say probably not. The late reply might mean that they're just probably busy. If they seem quiet, well, that could mean that they've probably just had a long day. If they didn't laugh, well, that could just mean that they might not have been paying attention. Nothing changed except the story. And that's when it hit me. Maybe my mind wasn't discovering the truth, but maybe it was defending a conclusion that it's already reached. It got me thinking about the difference between a judge and a lawyer. A judge essentially starts with the evidence and asks what actually happened. A lawyer starts somewhere completely different. They already know which side that they're representing, and their job is to build the strongest case that they possibly can. And I think our minds behave much more like lawyers than judges. If I wake up one day believing that I'm not good enough, then my brain suddenly gets to work. It remembers every mistake I've made, every criticism, every awkward conversation, every time something didn't work out. What's strange is that those memories were always there, but suddenly they become much easier to find. It's almost as if my brain has opened up a filing cabinet and pulled out the folders that support that case. And the same thing happens if I believe that no one likes me. Suddenly, I notice every unanswered message, every cancelled plan, every short reply. And before I know it, I've built a very convincing case. The scary part is, it doesn't really feel like I'm building a case. It actually feels like I'm discovering the truth. And that's what makes it so convincing. Now, this doesn't mean that your thoughts are wrong. Sometimes they're completely right. The problem isn't having thoughts. The problem is making one side of the argument for the whole case. Because while your inner lawyer has been busy collecting evidence, they've also been quietly ignoring it. The compliment that someone gave you, the friend who checked in, the meeting that went well. Evidence doesn't disappear, attention does. So I started asking myself a different question. Not, is this true? Because if my lawyer's already speaking, they've usually got an answer. Instead, I asked myself, what evidence am I not looking at? And if I believed the opposite, what would suddenly stand out? If I believed I was capable, what evidence would I suddenly start noticing? If I believed that people genuinely cared about me, what would I stop overlooking? I don't think that we can ever stop our brains from building stories and making assumptions, because that probably is just part of being human. But we can stop confusing confidence with certainty, because your brain is absolutely brilliant at building a case. But building a convincing case isn't the same thing as discovering the truth. Maybe before believing every argument that your mind makes, let the judge hear both sides.